This week, we're at the Ironman 70.3 Norway in Haugesund. Get to know the inspirational Michelle Vesterby of Denmark. And find out who else is in the mix for Scandinavian Ironman glory. As all the athletes move from transition to the swim start, the defending men's champion Philip Ospeley is also in the starting blocks. From the south side of Lake Skisvatnet, athletes will swim 1.9 kilometers in a double U-shaped course before running 50 meters to transition. 8 a.m. and the second ever Ironman 70.3 on Scandinavian soil is underway. More than 1,000 athletes from 38 nations dive into the slightly chilly 18-degree waters. About half the athletes are tackling their first Ironman 70.3, transforming the calm lake into a pool of frenzied activity. Up front, a tight pro field is setting the pace. Among them, Philip Ospeley and Richie Nichols, but also Brad Carlfeld from Australia and America's TJ Tollickson. While the men's lead group is clocking swim speeds of 1 minute 8 seconds per 100 meters, Georgie Rutherford heads the women's field. Just over halfway through the swim, a chase group with Michelle Vesterby, Catriona Morrison and Norwegian Mette Moe are only a few meters behind. Not far off the men, they are clocking speeds of 1 minute 15 seconds per 100 meters. The rest of the field is spread out over the swim course. After 1.9 kilometers of swimming, defending champion Philip Ospeley is first to emerge out of the waters of the Skisvatnet, with his fellow competitors hot on his heels. Barely 2 minutes behind the pros, a legend finishes his swim.
Six-time Ironman world champion, 59 years old and getting out the water without pros.
After 24 minutes, the First Lady gets out of the water. Georgie Rutherford is closely followed by Michelle Vesterby. Not the strongest swimmer, Lisa Huttala is 52 seconds behind at this stage.
She's out the water. Come on.
Fastest in T1, Michelle unracks her bike first. And Sarah Reinertsen is happy to finish her weakest discipline in 42 minutes. Coming up, can Michelle Vesterby increase the gap between her and the powerhouse Lisa Huttala? And will Philip Ospeley defend his title? We are back at the Ironman 70.3 in Haugesund, and athletes on the bike through the rolling hills of western Norway. Taking care on the roads in wet conditions, athletes first do a 70-kilometer loop through the countryside, and then pass the center of Haugesund before embarking on a last 20 kilometers south of town. Early on the bike, Philip Ospeley of the Czech Republic is setting the pace. Just behind him, Richie Nichols from Scotland. But Nichols is closely followed by short course specialist Brad Carlfeld, who catches up with the Scot before long. As the rain keeps falling, we go to the women's race, where Michelle Vesterby is in the lead a couple of kilometers into the bike. However, Catriona Morrison, who was trailing about 30 seconds out of T1, is catching up fast and puts herself ahead of Michelle. Behind them, Lisa Huttala is on a mission, working her way to the front, continually climbing up the leaderboard. Back to the men, where Philip Ospeley is clocking fast times on the rolling hills. In the chase group, Nichols and Carfeld are joined by 70.3 Pescara winner Horst Reichel and American TJ Tollefson. Before long, Tollefson breaks away from the pack. Not even 20k into the bike, Michelle's race for another podium is under threat. Lisa Huttala has caught up with Vesterby and Morrison, flying past the ladies in impressive style. Cheered on by the ever-enthusiastic supporters, Michelle is now in third position on Morrison's heels. But in striking distance, local hero Meta Moe, who has nearly closed the gap on the two chasers. More than halfway through the race, Philip Ospeley has extended his lead. His closest competitor, TJ Tollefson, is almost 2 minutes adrift at 50k. Horst Reichel and the rest of the chase group are trailing the Czech by 3.5 minutes. As Lisa Huttala is speeding towards the 50k mark, she continues to build a gap between herself and her chasers. At this stage, Morrison, Vesterby and Moa are nearly 2 minutes behind the strong Austrian. While Ospeley shows no signs of weakening, as he passes through the centre of Haugesund, TJ Tollefson is unable to keep up with the high pace. He is now closely followed by age grouper Florian Seifert of Germany, who takes second position before long. 2.5 hours into the race, Philip Ospeley dismounts his bike and loses no time in transition. Still in second place, age grouper Florian Seifert. As he enters T2, Richie Nichols is nearly 7 minutes adrift of Ospeley. Will his exceptional running skills carry him any closer to the lead? A shade over 15 minutes later, Lisa Huttala reaches transition. Catriona Morrison is next, closely followed by Michelle Vesterby and Norway's Meta Moe. While the chase group is trailing Huttala by around 4 minutes, the rest of the field is more than 10 minutes back, including fastest swimmer Georgie Rutherford. It's a 2-lap, mostly flat and fast half marathon with a few short climbs where athletes can keep an eye on each other en route to the finish at the inner harbour. About 5 kilometers into the run, Philip Ospeley is running at a mad pace. He seems very determined not to let his lead slip away. Behind him, Richie Nichols' catch-up race is in full swing. Age grouper Florian Seifert, who had impressed the pro field with a speedy bike, has no chance against the Scots' powerful strides. In 8th position after the bike, Nichols is now second, less than 1/3 into the run. Not far from the 7.5k mark, Brad Carfeld also passes the ambitious age grouper Florian Seifert. The Australian is now in 3rd position. As the Norwegian summer is showing its prettier face, we go back to the women's race, where Lisa Huttala is struggling a bit to keep up her early pace on the run. While Catriona Morrison appears to be moving with ease, gradually reducing her deficit. And behind her, Meta Moe, who managed to put herself ahead of Michelle Vesterby in the first 1.5k. Michelle is now having a tough time, losing touch with the podium step by step. In the men's race, Philip Ospeley is looking very strong about halfway through the run. At the 10.5k mark, Richie Nichols has reduced his T2 deficit by nearly 2 minutes, and he looks determined indeed to close the gap on Ospeley even further.
Look at this young man run. Come in.
While Brad Carfeld is unable to gain time on the lead, he manages to keep his followers at bay. "11k into the run, Lisa Hutella is slowing. While Catriona Morrison has gained more than 1.5 minutes in the first half of the run. All the more remarkable, considering that the Scot has had an injury, stopping her from running for 18 months. Happy Metamoa remains in third position. In well under 4 hours, Philip Ospeley is carried to the finish line by the enthusiastic Norwegian crowds. The Czech was in control of the race from the beginning to the end, defending his title in a time of 3 hours, 46 minutes, 10 seconds, 1 minute faster than his winning time at the first edition last year. Richie Nichols kept reducing his deficit on the lead, but even the fastest run split of the day, just under 1 hour and 9 minutes, was not enough. Philip Ospeley was simply unbeatable on this day, and Nichols crosses the line about 4 minutes behind him.
We got on the bike and
Nearly an hour after the men, Lisa Hutala reaches the finish. Following her victories in Mallorca and St. Pölten, the Austrian makes it 3 out of 3 in 2013 with the fastest bike split of the day. Catriona Morrison crosses the finish line in second, 3 minutes behind Lisa Hutala. As Norway's Mette Moe claimed third. Not in her best shape as she's building up for Kona, Michelle is not entirely satisfied with her 4th place. As the first cutoff to qualify for the World Championship in Kona is fast approaching, Ronnie Schildknecht can earn valuable points at the upcoming Ironman Switzerland. Michelle's 4th gained her important Kona points, while Erika Tsomo in 28th looks to climb the leaderboard by starting in Zurich. Next, we are at the Ironman Switzerland. We meet 6-time defending champion Ronnie Schildknecht and update you on more action from the world of Ironman.